Somewhere, right now, someone is lying in a hospital bed. Not in pain, not afraid, just quiet. And in that quiet, they are doing something that most of us will not do until it is too late. They are looking back, really looking, at the choices they made, at the words they never said, at the mornings they rushed through without once stopping to feel them. And what they see changes everything. A palliative care nurse named Bronnie Ware spent years sitting beside people in their final weeks. She asked them one simple question: do you have any regrets? The answers broke her heart, not because they were dramatic, but because they were so ordinary, so human, so preventable. Today, we sit with those 5 regrets together, and we ask what the Buddha, who spent his entire life studying the nature of human suffering, would say to each one of them. Stay with me, because one of these regrets may already be living quietly inside you. The first regret: I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. This was the most common regret of all. More than anything else, more than money, more than missed vacations, more than arguments, what people mourned most was the life they never dared to live, the dream they kept postponing, the truth they kept swallowing, the person they almost became but pulled back from because someone, somewhere, would not have approved. The Buddha saw this clearly. He called it the suffering of anatta, the confused self, the self that spends its entire life performing for an audience that wasn't even watching. Here is the hard truth the Buddha would speak. You were never the person others wanted you to be. That person was a costume, a role in someone else's story. The real you, the one beneath the performance, beneath the approval-seeking, beneath the fear that one never needed anyone's permission. It is not too late to take off the costume. Not today, not at any age. Even now, even here, you can choose one small thing that is true, and let that be enough to begin. The second regret: I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Every man Bronnie nursed said this. Every single one. They had given their best hours, their most alive, most energetic, most present hours, to something that, in the end, had no arms to hold them, no face to remember them, no heart to grieve them, just an empty desk, a cleared inbox, a pension that arrived too late. The Buddha taught a concept called Samma Ajiva, right livelihood, not just how we earn, but why, and for whom. He did not say work is wrong. He said, know what you are working for, because if you are working to feel worthy, you will never work enough. If you are working to be loved, no paycheck will ever pay that debt. But if you work to contribute, to serve, to leave something genuinely useful behind, then even simple work becomes sacred. The question the Buddha would ask is not, did you work hard enough? The question is, were you present for the life that happened while you were working? If the answer is no, start being present now, not later. Now, this afternoon, this hour. The third regret: I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. So many people lived their whole lives, holding a truth inside them, like a stone they never put down. The unsaid apology, the unexpressed love, the anger swallowed so many times. It eventually became illness, the grief that had nowhere to go. So it became distance. We stay silent because we are afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of rejection, afraid of being too much. But the Buddha taught something quietly radical about this. He said, suppressed feeling does not disappear. It simply goes underground. And underground, it poisons the water. He called this the second arrow. The first arrow is the original pain. The second arrow, the one we shoot at ourselves, is the silence, the pretending, the performance of being fine. Feeling is not weakness. Feeling is truth, and truth, however uncomfortable, is always more dignified than a lifetime of careful lying. Is there something unsaid sitting in your chest right now? Not a speech, not a confrontation, just one true thing you have been carrying alone that deserves to be spoken before the quiet comes. The fourth regret: I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. By the time most people are dying, many of the people they loved most are already gone. The friends of 30 years, the ones who knew them before, the job, before the children, before they became whoever the world asked them to be. They had let them slip away, quietly. Without drama, just busy, and then more busy, and then one day too many years had passed. The Buddha taught that Sangha, community, connection, the people who walk alongside us, is not a luxury. It is one of the three jewels. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, not two jewels, three, because the Buddha understood that no one reaches wisdom alone. We need witnesses, people who remember us, people who see us. If you have let a friendship go quiet, the one where you think of them sometimes, but never quite reach out, today is the day. Not a long letter, not an explanation, just a message that says, I think of you. I am glad you exist. That is enough. That is, in fact, everything. The fifth regret. I wish I had let myself be happier. This one is the quietest of all, and perhaps the most devastating, because what the dying were confessing was not that happiness had been denied to them. It was that they had denied it to themselves. They had believed, for decades, that happiness was something that arrived when the circumstances were right, when the debts were paid, when the children settled, when the bodies stopped aching. So they waited, and the day they described never came. The Buddha would recognize this immediately. He would call it tanha, craving, the belief that peace lives somewhere ahead of you, rather than here, now, in what already is. He would say, happiness is not a reward for the right conditions. Happiness is a practice. It is the decision, made again and again, in small moments, to receive what is here. The light on the wall, the warmth of the cup, the simple miracle of another morning, not because everything is good, but because you have decided to be present for the good that is already woven into the difficult. That decision can be made right now, this moment, without waiting for anything to change. 5 regrets. 5 human voices from the edge of life, speaking back across time, to say, do not do what we did. And the Buddha, who gave up a palace to understand suffering, met every single one of them with the same answer. Not a lecture, not a list of rules, just this. Wake up, not tomorrow, not when the time is right. Now, while you still have mornings, while you still have people to call, while there are still things left unsaid, that you have the voice to speak. The regrets of the dying are not warnings about the extraordinary. They are warnings about the ordinary that was lived unconsciously. You are not dying. You are alive. And that means every regret on this list is still a choice you can make differently. Starting today, starting now, starting with the next breath. If this landed somewhere true for you today, please take a moment and subscribe. Not as a number, but because every few days we gather here together to look at the things that matter most in this season of life, while we still have time to do something about them. And if you know someone who is living with a quiet regret they've never spoken aloud, share this with them. Sometimes the most loving thing we can give another person is simply the reminder, you still have time. It is not too late.